Good evening, Vape Talk UK. So we've decided this evening to have a bit of a short show. We've decided to come to you today, obviously as the first day of the TPR, just to have a look at how today's gone and what rumours are flying around today. Joining us this evening, we have Stu. Good evening, Stu.
Hi.
We have Damon. Good evening, Damon.
Good evening, Mark. How are you? Good evening, everybody.
I'm very well, thank you. We have Mr. Tom.
Evening, guys.
And we also have with us Mr. Chris J.B., who is having a few problems with an animal. He'll be joining us in a few moments. So, as I said, we've decided to do, it's only a short show this evening, we're only looking at around about half an hour, but we want to have a quick chat about how today has gone and some of the rumours that you might have heard being flown around Tinterweb. Stu, how's your day gone today, mate?
We had a great day at the shop, mate, to be honest. Very, very productive day. Lots of zero nicotine going out. Lots of 10ml bottles going out. Lots of reading stuff on Facebook that I'm not quite sure how I feel about.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of misinformation flying around, doesn't there?
Yeah.
A little bit. How are your customers feeling? Have you managed to gauge?
We're getting a lot of, oh, this is fucking silly, isn't it? And that's about it, you know. Oh, this is fucking silly, isn't it? Give me 50ml wick liquor in a Nick shop, please.
I've had lots of questions, and the best one, well, not the best one, but the most logical one is, why have they done this? The amount of people that have come in and just gone, fucking why? Why have they done this?
I know. Actually, to be fair, we have had a bit of that, but we've been briefing people to get ready for it for a couple of months now. So, you know, we're sort of getting past the stage of people ranting about it now.
Tom, how's your day been, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, same as you guys, just sort of reading into what's going on at the minute and just waiting to see, yeah.
And Damon, you've obviously been quite active today on social media. How's your day been?
Yeah, well, I've got a few bits and bobs to share along the way. My day's been good. It's been, you know, a bit worrisome. You know, there's a bit of fear there around, and there's some concern. And whether we can put any of that to bed tonight, I hope that maybe we can, but maybe we can't. We'll see what we can do. But I've taken a booking for Vape Collective, so confidence is high.
That's what, 3 people coming now?
that's 3 more than last time.
Success stories, mate. They're always sweet.
What night Tesh was saying in chat, today was fine shop-wise. No real impact on customers. Nick shop sales were and have been impressive. The biggest difficulty has been internal company stuff, making sure everyone was clear. Now, I've seen a few internal emails today from some larger companies, and
what kind of larger companies, Mark?
I don't wish to disclose who these big companies are, but some of the larger ones who have issued statements to their staff, obviously explaining what's going on, how it's going on, and there certainly does seem to be a lot of confusion with what is going on and what looks like has changed pretty much overnight with regards to drippers and RDAs. Has anyone else come across that today?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone could even look at social media without seeing something about it today. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? That's one of the main reasons we've decided to do this show.
I think I actually managed to track down the source of all this today, the source of all the fear. And it was one reasonably innocent post on Planet of the Vapes. And it just seems to have rippled out from that post. Not this morning, yesterday morning, sorry. It just all seems to have rippled out from that post.
Are you at liberty to discuss this post, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, should we pull up that email first of all? The first email for anybody who may not have seen it.
Is this the one from Aaron? Or the one
no, the MHRA email.
Oh, that's the one that you've got, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then, grab him up.
So shall I share that?
Yeah, go on, get over your fears, Damon. Screen share it.
I'm getting over my fears and I'm screen sharing. Look at this.
Do it, Damon. We believe in you.
Am I full screen now, man?
You will be. When you screen share
Okay.
it, you will be.
My issue here is that my eyesight is so poor and that is so small that I can't read it. So,
Damon, actually,
Right.
we're getting no picture from you whenever you talk. We get your little preview window, but whenever you talk, you're going
No, I
black
can
on my
see, I
screen.
can see what he's got. I can see him. I can see him.
You can see him, can you? I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to read it, Damon, I can see it.
all right. Well, basically, I'm going to read out that last paragraph because it was the last paragraph. No, I'll read it all. So basically, somebody emailed the MHRA to ask them in a crystal clear form whether RDAs would be included in the TPD. And the MHRA emailed back, although refillable electronic devices are generally placed on the market without liquid, the device falls within the scope of the TPD once it can be used with a liquid containing nicotine. Individual parts of the electronic cigarette sold separately also fall within the scope of the TPD. These only need to be notified if these are essential elements of the electronic cigarette and capable of containing nicotine. These would include the tank, atomizer, or cartridge, but would include other components such as replacement batteries, or mouthpieces. More generic parts such as washers, O-rings, and screws, which are necessary for the functioning of the device, but not for the characteristic elements of the electronic cigarette, could also be deemed to fall outside the scope of the reporting obligations foreseen under the TPD. In order to determine whether an e-cigarette can be placed on the market, the manufacturer should carefully verify whether it is capable of falling under the relevant definitions provided for in the directive, and if complying with all of the quality and safety provisions under Article 20. Where it is unclear how products are capable of fully complying with all provisions of Article 20, in particular the technical standards for the refill mechanism set out in the Commission Implementing Decision 2016-586, the notifier should explain how the item is compliant in their notification and be able to respond to requests for justification from the competent authority.
Cool.
So let's just go back to that a second. Can we just go back to that a second? Did that state that batteries have to be notified?
No, it said generic components such as batteries, etc., don't have to be notified.
Don't have to be.
Right. Okay. I'm just getting that correct.
My first reaction to that, the first thing that I think everyone needs to be really fucking clear on is that's not an official statement. That's some correspondence from someone who works at the MHRA.
No, come on, Stu. A customer service email from somebody at the MHRA by email is an official statement.
No, until they actually release an official statement to the public record, it's not an official statement. An official statement is on public record. That's an email that was sent privately between two individuals. It's not an official statement. By the letter of journalistic law, that's not an official statement. So
okay, by the letter of official journalistic law, it's not an official statement. I agree and concur completely. However, the difference is that this person is the voice of the MHRA. They are repping the MHRA, so and they're just cut and pasting, aren't they?
To apply the context of, they've been unsure before, and their later statements have been amended. So don't take that to be a complete final word on it. That's what I'm saying. It's a pretty good indicator of how they're looking at it. In fact, it's a very strong indicator of how they're looking at it. But I don't think you can take it as a final word.
Yeah, as both Bad Atheist has just said, it's a copy and pasted template. Yeah, but yeah, you are right. It's not an official statement.
So my other reaction to that is a lot of this, what it seemed to generate was a lot of people going, oh, for fuck's sake, they're banning RDAs. And it doesn't say that anywhere. It doesn't say they're banning RDAs at all.
No, we can categorically affirm that they are not banning RDAs.
Yeah, 100%. No one at any stage in the process has said that they're banning RDAs at all.
No.
All they've said is there's a very high degree of likelihood that you'll need to notify them.
Well,
in so many words, yeah.
There is that, but then another email has surfaced over the last 48 hours that was sent out by Aaron Taylor, who's the MD of eSig Wizard, to the MHRA. Shall I share that now?
I've got that. I can share it if you want. If you need a break after the last screen share, I'm quite happy to take this one for you.
I don't mind sharing it, honestly.
Hey, look, mate, I'm here to lighten the load if you need me. It's up to you.
I'm sharing, mate. I'm getting used to it. Okay.
Now. You can't stop him sharing, even if you want to.
Here we go with sharing. Okay, so Aaron Taylor who's the MD at eSig Wizard, sent Mark Wilcox, who was the chief guy, who was the boss guy at the MHRA, but recently quit. He sent him an email on the 17th of November last year, asking whether RDAs would fall under the TPD/TRPR. And the response to that was, "Hi, Aaron. It is my current understanding that rebuildable atomizers, which I think you are referring to when you say drippers, please correct me if I'm wrong, will be covered by the regulations and as such will require notification. The reason for this is that their specific intention is to contain nicotine containing liquid, which would then place them under the remit of the TPD." Mark.
Right, I want to be the first one to comment on this one. So that email was sent last year, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck has that person only just released that information for the public?
Right. I then got in contact with Aaron, MD at eSig Wizard. As we all know, eSig Wizard one of the biggest chains in the UK, would we say now?
One of, yeah.
Bigger, definitely.
Well, they're up there with Totally Wicked, Vaporized.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're up there. You know, they turn over at least 7 million a year. You know, they're not a small fry company. They're a big independent, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So they apparently came under some massive criticism for getting voicey about RDAs and whether they would come under TPD by certain advocates last year, and were apparently silenced by those very, very loud critics. So let me just share this again, because although it's not exactly pertinent to what we're talking about, it's a statement from eSig Wizard anyway. So I think it deserves to be read out. So I said, "Afternoon, Aaron. And bearing in mind, this is the MD, again, of eSig Wizard. Wondered if you could confirm the email that's floating around from you and was replied to by Mark Cox, please. Doing a live show tonight, trying to amass as much written evidence as possible. So, hi, Damon. Yes, it does originate from me. We tried to warn people about this at the time, but a few very loud people at the time basically said it wasn't true, would be worked around, not for nicotine stickers, selling them in parts as room diffusers, etc. Companies such as ourselves, Liberty Flights, Totally Wicked, Vaporized, all marked these products as non-compliant a long time ago. Our sales team also tried warning our business-to-business customers, but a lot just didn't want to know or just didn't take our word for it. So I said, okay, thanks for that, Aaron. Dave Dawn alluded to certain companies that remain nameless poking the bear in order to squeeze out smaller companies. Have you got a response to that, please? At which point he said, and I'm trying to find it, sticking with that analogy, I would say trying to trick the bear, pull the wool over the bear's eyes, or find loopholes around the bear is far worse for the industry than simply complying at this stage. We certainly aren't poking the bear. We sent many emails and written correspondence to the MHRA over the last 12 months to ensure our business was operating within the TRPR as much as possible. In those correspondence, we got answered that certain people simply didn't want to hear. Aaron, that's great, thank you. If there's anything else you'd like to add, then we go live at 9 p.m. And he added, I'd like people to know that just because we are the bearer of bad news, we are not the bad guys here. We've worked with other manufacturers and retailers who have no commercial link with us to help them be compliant over the past 8 months. We've got people out at Foles with emissions testing, assisted with label issues from CLP to imitating food stuff. As I said, none of these people buy from us or sell to us. Thanks. So that's the second bit of evidence, basically, that RDAs aren't going to be banned, but do need to be notified under the TPD. And it seems you can't get a much higher source than Mark Cox, who did work for the MHRA and was in charge of all of this. unfortunately.
I still think this. I still, if you're silenced by these so-called big people or whatever, and you're told not to say anything out, I think that's bollocks. If you're at the stage you are, and you could give that information to a lot of people to deal with what they need to deal with a year advance, then I'm sorry, but you've got the right to put that information out there.
I would tend to agree with you, Tom, on that, because there are a lot of vaping media outlets out there now, and a statement could have been released that would have gone viral very, very quickly. But that's what they're saying. So,
I just for me, this is my personal opinion. I just believe that they're pushing the blame on somebody else for not releasing that information within well time. Blaming somebody else for silencing them.
Hello.
That's just me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Chris. Another source that I can't name has also said to me today that the health minister in charge of liaising with the MHRA was never, ever keen on actually policing the TPD or TRPR, and neither are the MHRA, and neither are trading standards. Nobody's going to jail. Anyway.
Hello.
Yeah, the one thing to be really, really like sure of if you're a retailer is a court case against you to prosecute you will not hold up with a law that's written this unclearly. If it's not clear enough that the industry experts don't understand it, then they don't have enough to prosecute you on. So people don't want to be getting scared about going to jail.
I mean, I think the main part of all legal cases is that you need to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the law was broken. With the law having nothing but doubt, it's not going to be something that they're going to be able to fully prosecute people under.
Right. The people that are working with these products, the people in the industry that are, you know, people like Aaron, for example, from eSig Wizard, people like us that are in this show, we've been involved with eSigs for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you know. We've been around them longer than anyone else. If we can't get our heads around it, there's no way they've got a case to put anyone behind bars. And that's something that, you know, it doesn't mean poke the bear. It doesn't mean take the piss. But it does mean don't panic, because there's so much panic going around at the moment.
I mean, I think the source, although Damon, as he says, he wants to remain anonymous, is actually quite oh, excuse me. He holds a position of I don't know who the person is, Damon, but you were saying that he's in a position to be able to give that information with a fair bit of accuracy.
This guy's in a position where he knows everybody politically in touch with everything to do with the health ministry, the MHRA. Again, it's an intangible source, but I trust him.
Closer to the horse's mouth than any the other crap that everyone's being scaremongered by, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a friend of mine, Tom, from Imperial Vape Company, the guys that released the Sherman.
Yeah.
Now, I know that his battle's been quite a strange one, because he was determined to do everything by the book, and he was determined not to be caught out by anything. So his Sherman tank has, since November, been sold in the US, Russia, everywhere apart from here. So everyone in the UK is like, it's a UK designed tank, and we can't get hold of it for love nor money. And that's because he was determined not to do everything by the book. Now, obviously, as a product designer, there's more products in the pipeline, and he was actually set to receive and release the Sherman RDA this week. Now, I know that obviously this coming in yesterday was a bit of a kick in the balls, because he didn't know what was happening then, as many of us don't. But speaking to him this afternoon, he was saying that, you know, whether or not anything needs to be done about it, you know, whatever happens, he's actually going to experiment by spending the money to have his RDA capacity tested, emissions tested, and I think it's going to be tested for the leak potential.
Yeah.
Now, these are all things that we know as vapors that practically is the practicality of doing that with an RDA is quite hard.
Yeah.
You know? But he's spoken to the guys that currently testing the tank for him, testing the emissions, etc., for the Sherman tank. So he's paying what's going to probably work out about $3,000 out of his own pocket to have one RDA and one RTA tested for emissions, capacity, etc., etc.
Can I just interject here? How the fuck do you test emissions on a pre-built coil?
Well, this is what he was saying, that the guys he's been speaking to said that if you put in what your idea of the standard bit, this is what I'm presuming. Don't take this verbatim. I might be getting the wrong end of the stick here, but from what I can gather, he said he's going to put in a build. It's got to be tested in 2 different labs, I think he said as well, in order to be able to pass. So he's going to put a build in, his build of his choice, with cotton wicked how he wants it to be wicked, for it to be, essentially ready to go, to be dripped, and he's going to send it off and see what happens. Now, I mean, it's a leap and an investment that someone's willing to do it almost for the benefit of everyone in the industry, because if he gets back a declaration saying it's passed all the tests it needs to do, it will open up a clear gateway for that's what other people need him to do. And the
thing is, as we spoke about in Hangouts before, now if you go through the Excel document of notified products for the TRPR, there isn't one that's passed.
No.
But because they're in there, they're fit for sale, and that includes about 5 or 6 RDAs that are currently waiting.
And also, I mean, it just shows how grey that area has been from the legislation. In the fact that, how long did you say that document was, Damon?
I've closed it down now, Chris. It's massive.
Give or take, how many entries do you reckon there are on that?
Oh, there was like 300-something thousand last time I looked.
Of them are RDAs. That shows how grey that area was.
Absolutely, yeah. It's Vape are the guys that have really been proactive here. They've put through, I think hang on, let me just double check before I give out misinformation.
I think I saw that
currently there's the .mod 22 mil RDA, which is under review.
That's still under review.
That's still under review. There are 3 stages from my understanding, and that's declared, under review, and passed. And the .mod is under review now.
David, how long
the Nalu RDA is declared. The Transformer RDA from the same company is declared. The GoVAD RDA is declared from Vape, and the Icon RDA is under review.
Damon, does it state when these were put in?
No, there's no dates. There's just the ECID number, the company name, what it is, and what the product does, and that's about it. Pardon?
Have any of them passed?
Nothing's passed in it at the moment, Mark. As far as I'm aware, Dale's in chat. I think that he'll have more understanding than me. But as far as I'm aware, nothing has passed yet. But because it has an ECID number, it is fit for sale.
I think they're all temporary ECID numbers, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
And I mean, I think as well, there's so much. The grey area has only been propelled more by what information has been released by the MHRA as well, because even on their website under the Section 5, subsection 5, or whatever you'd like to call it, where it says rebuildable devices, device only, which is what an RDA, RTA would sit under. That whole Section 5 doesn't exist yet. So I think for them to enforce and to police it, which obviously, as you said, your very reputable source has said they don't plan on doing that. But for them to do that, they would need clear definitions of what is and what isn't, apart from whether it's notified or not. Do you know what I mean?
Dale's just said they won't start passing them until October the 17th.
No, October 17, 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, without this clear, defined definition of what is and what isn't acceptable to pass and to not pass, I think RDAs will very much be the last in the list to be put up for review.
Just a little aside on the someone's going to get made an example of argument, which I know, you know, like John Martin was having a conversation with Twitch in the chat earlier, and he was kind of taking very much that route of someone's going to get fucked for it. It is worth pointing out something that's just come up on my Facebook feed. Amazon, of all places, are still selling absolute shed loads of non-compliant stock. If anyone's going to get made an example of, they're going to get hit first.
I put a link up earlier. I was looking through, and Amazon are actually fulfilling their own products. They're still selling the TFV12.
Yeah, fulfilled by Amazon from Amazon warehouses.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which I don't know whether it's going to be classed, because obviously everyone has it's done by seller. So a lot of the time you're purchasing from a seller, but it says fulfilled by Amazon, which means they hold stock of it. So I don't know who out of the actual seller or Amazon are going to be held accountable for that, but there is going to be someone in that process that's doing something wrong.
Well, I mean, Amazon are going to fight tooth and nail, aren't they? Amazon are going to fight to say, well, we're under instruction.
Absolutely. I mean, did anyone see that video that was posted earlier? It was I can't remember who recorded it. It was a guy at a shop, and he's like recording all in the window all this non-compliant stock that was still for sale.
I saw that.
Can you clarify that it's the 20th of May, as if he was trading standards? You know what I mean?
This is what it's all part of. It's a conspiracy theory within a fucking conspiracy theory, because you've got all these levels of business, from the smallest guy on a market all the way up to the e-cig wizards and the totally wickeds. And I'm not saying that the big guys are doing this or any guys are doing this, but certain guys, that was a vendor taking that video for evidence for the trading standards.
Yeah, fucking dobber fucking dealer in it. That's what it's.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It's the big guy taking out the little guy, and I'm not saying that everybody's doing this or who's doing this, but it's definitely happening.
I mean, I think the thing is as well, we're very much under the impression that we need to stand together as a united front to say that we're not trying to say that everything you're putting into regulation is bullshit. We're not saying that everything you want to do, like, you know, put limits on things for safety reasons. We're not saying all that's bollocks. What we're saying is we want a clear, defined answer as to what is what. Now, you know, I don't see the benefit of one guy pissing on another guy, but then pisses on another guy. Do you know what I mean? Everyone is going to be doing something wrong. Technically, as nothing.
The benefit is ruling the monopoly board, isn't it? That's
Correct.
The benefit.
Correct. Because they're going to turn around and go, well, he's not complaining. I've done all this and done all that to do this, and you're not doing all about him. So they're going to double him. So it's going to end up being fucking rat upon rat upon rat in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
sounds like divide and conquer to me.
Well, see, the thing is as well is it's essentially doing Big Tobacco's job. It's essentially doing what Big Tobacco are setting out to do. They're setting out the reason the whole legislation was taken to Brussels and not put through the House of Lords, because it would have been laughed out. Brussels introduced it as an EU directive, which means it automatically overlooked. It went over the heads of the House of Lords and had no say in it. Now, that's essentially been done. I don't know whether it was paid. I don't know whether it was influenced. I don't know. But it's essentially done for the benefit of Big Tobacco and the revenue generated from the tax of tobacco. Now, essentially what Big Tobacco are doing is squashing the competition to make a clear pathway for themselves. And essentially we're doing their job for them by squashing each other.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
That's what they want to do. They can just sit back now and they can wait. And then they can start buying out, and then they can start buying out the bigger boys who are left.
Yeah, it's essentially they're going to put everyone in a giant pit to fight it out, and the ones that win, they're going to buy.
Yeah, it's the way of the world. That's globalization in commerce. Sadly.
What were you saying, Stu?
Can we just quickly address a comment in chat just before it moves past being relevant?
Yeah.
Bad Atheist has said it's all going black market. I think it's pretty critical that we all understand that the industry won't allow that to happen. The industry is absolutely opposed en masse. When you ask anyone that is a manufacturer in this industry, they are opposed en masse to it going black market. That absolutely will not ever happen.
Because rather than it being regulated, it'd be outlawed, and that's what we don't want. We don't essentially them to instead of regulating what we can have, then say no, you can't have it.
Yeah.
No, it's never been as important to self-regulate. And indeed, we're talking about dobbing people in. If we're going to dob anybody in, it should be those guys that are still in bathtub mixers selling on Facebook groups. That's who we should be reporting.
I think essentially, Facebook is an acceptable form of a black market because people are just going to be selling everything that they've got secondhand to other people.
Yeah.
Now that's not a bad thing. It's a way that people will still be able to get hold of a 25mm tank or whatever. You'll be able to buy one secondhand. The thing that we're looking towards avoiding is making it, people turning up into a park with a van saying, "I've got these 60 mils here, lads." You just don't want it to happen.
That meme that's going around with the "I'll have 30 mils of your jammy donut and 10 fused Claptons, please."
That's all that meme.
I fucking love that meme.
Can I just welcome Dale into the conversation? Obviously, Dale is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to notifying, and also he's obviously got good contacts within the HMRA, etc., etc. We just thought it'd be a good idea for Dale to come and join us for the last part of the show.
He's a haircut, hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Hello, Dale.
So, Dale, can you just sort of provide your thoughts on it as a whole? Just your sort of rundown as to where you think we're at with what's come to light today.
Well, the RDA stuff.
Yeah, and just sort of generally where you stand on the MHRA and their attitude towards it. And
I'll be honest, regardless of what people say they knew it 6 months ago or whatever, I can't think of anyone on this hangout or in this chat who knew about this before today. I certainly didn't, or before yesterday. I certainly had no idea. And I know that personally, I've removed them from my website and taken them off sale today just until I can decide how I want to go about doing it. Whether I decide to, fuck it, I'm going to sell them until told. It is a huge grey area.
Yeah.
I spoke to the two compliance companies that I work with. I spoke to them both yesterday. And one of them turned around and basically said if it's sold as a whole kit, I agree with most people saying it's only a rebuildable dripping atomizer if it's got a coil in it. Well, not many people sell stuff like the Cleto RTA module. That would come under the remit because it comes with a set of Claptons in it.
Yeah.
Would a Rogue Force, would a Kennedy, would a Slamham, would they don't come with coils in them? They're not installed. So is that not an for me? It's that part of it is too much of a grey area for me to just pull a trigger and say, right, fuck it, we're selling them. We're not selling them. I'd rather just wait. I'm not going to throw all my RDAs out at £2 an RDA and say I'm not selling them anymore. I'd rather wait and see what I've spoke to other people. I spoke to Paul. I spoke to James at Evo. Just because these guys, Paul has got obviously a shitload in Endless alone. You've got Burr, who's got pretty much every idea that were ever fucking invented in stock. So these guys have got serious. We stopped slowed down with the ideas a while ago, so it's not massively hitting me. But like Mark as well, there's people who've got a shitload of ideas there now and thinking, we've complied with everything else. Do I let this fuck me up if it does fall under? This is the most uncertain I've been about a part of TPD for a while. I went through a large period last year, as Tom will be aware, of not knowing the TPD and only having to draw from sources and right, well, who can I ask for this? Because I didn't have a clue because I was in e-Wizard's pocket last year. And I'm not bad-mouthing when I say that. They were manufacturing for us, so they dealt with it. So I've spent the last 4 months doing nothing but reading about this shit so that I have my bank of knowledge then to run with. And I knew nothing of this. I've never seen it in, like I said, any official statement, capacity or anything.
Well, it's like with this. Let me just share this.
Well, while he's grabbing that then, Dale, what's your take on that email from Mark Cox?
Again, what Mark has made mistakes before.
Right.
And I'm not trying to discredit in that because I believe, without talking, I'm not talking this as an official thing I'm saying, but I believe Mark left because he couldn't fucking do with it anymore. Because it was an absolute shambles of a whole bollocks operation. So But Mark has made mistakes before, and I don't think they were his fault. I think he's gone off information that he's been provided. I don't think Mark was ever in a capacity to answer a question, surefire, boom, there's your answer. He will have had to refer to his superiors who fed information down to him. If they then change their mind, he looks like a twat because he's the point of contact. Do you know what I mean? And so Mark has made mistakes before, probably from misfed information. So I don't know whose word to take for gospel. I have no idea. But my outlook on the RDA thing is, Mark has every shop I deal with or will deal with has spent the past 6 months and more making sure they're ready for today, making sure that if TS were to walk through our doors at 9, 10, whatever we opened this morning, they couldn't do shit.
Yeah.
So why would we pull that trigger instantly and make a snap decision on what's going on? I don't think you'll see any RDAs not going to Expo. I got my delivery of Rogues for Expo this morning. I'll be fucked if they're not going to Expo. Do you know what I mean? That's more than I would usually order in. And I cannot imagine Paul turning up to Endless and just having tubes. I can't imagine Burr turning up and just having tubes. We've all got so much money mounted up for Expo. And I'm not saying it's all a money game, but we've got a lot invested in this. And for them to give us 6 months manufacturing grace and a year's sales grace on juice and everything else, then 12 hours before, there you go, you've known for 6 months. No, we fucking haven't, pal.
See, essentially, when people like, for instance, Tom at Imperial Vape Co. has invested a shitload of money in these RDAs come in. There's money reinvested in Pandora. It's like, well, I can't, just write that money off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is on the government website, the MRHA website, and this is the guidance for what needs to be notified. And even here, you'll see how grey it is. If you look at section 4, it's electronic cigarettes that are refillable that's placed with a type of e-liquids. That's a fixed combination. 6 is the kit that contains one or more different e-cigarettes and liquids and containers. Section 5, essentially what RDAs would fall under, would be electronic cigarette refillable device only. And even down in the explanatory guidance notes, section 5 doesn't exist. There is no section 5. It goes from 4 to 6. And I think this is what's reinforcing the whole fact that there is such a grey area, because even...
There's not 7 either, Chris, if you look.
But then, Chris, to come back at that with a devil's advocate kind of argument, the very first sentence of Part 6 in the TRPR regulations 2016 says a producer who supplies or intends to supply electronic cigarettes or refill containers must notify the Secretary of State. Refill containers.
So what is
an
that?
RDA is a refill container.
Yeah, also...
No, because an RDA doesn't contain a refill. A refill container contains what you put in an RDA.
That would be the
I get that, but this could be misinterpreted as well, Dale. I mean, that's your understanding. My understanding reading that is, okay, my RDA is empty. I am going to refill it.
From what?
A container.
From a refill container. You wouldn't refill the destination. You wouldn't call. Do you know what I mean? That's like saying my car is the petrol station.
It's essentially it's the blind leading the blind, where everything they say reinforces the fact that everything is such a grey area.
I have to disagree with that though, Chris. I don't think it is the blind leading the blind. That's a mistake I will hold my hands up and make. If we're all honest, we all thought a year ago, I think they've missed the RDAs here. I think they've missed the boat and we're going to be all right with RDAs. And I think they fucking hadn't missed them for 1 second. I think if you think about it, everyone knows what you've got to do to test a tank. Everyone knows it's easy to find out how you would go about testing a tank. There's plenty of people to do it. To release such information at the 11th hour about testing something, when how the fuck can you actually test an RDA? And I keep saying that there must be a way because Dotmod have done it and Vaporesso have done it. All they've done is notified a product. The TFV12 could have been notified if it had been done a week, 2 weeks earlier. It wouldn't have never passed the TPD, but it could still have been notified to take advantage of a sell-through period. But I think full well right now what's happened is the past 6 months when these stuff have been going into the EU CEG portal for all the notifications, hardware, juice, whatever, they've been going in for the past 6 months. That deadline for that submission period was today. And like Damon said, they all say under review. That's the stage we're at. Your first process is under review. Declared means that you've signed, you have your talks done. They don't even really want to see your talks. You're meant to get
just explain what the talks is for people.
The talks, for example, with juice, which is my side of things. The talks basically tells you, us as the owners of the brand, what is in the emissions of what you've created. You then have an audit of if they were to turn up and do a full audit on us from whatever policing agency they came up with. They then turn up and you've got this guidance here, right? That you can't have anything in your liquid that is this, or if it is in there, it can't be above this concentration. You've got your talks to look at that and say, right, well, that meets that. You then fill in a self-certification to the TPD, or essentially a self-cert, a long-winded one, that basically says, I'm happy that this product is safe to be put on the market. The reason they've done that is they can't be asked doing it themselves. So people could lie on that. People could have fucking lists full of shit, sign it, and then they will show up as declared on that list. Passed means that's when they come out and spot check people at certain points. But you can continue to sell as declared for as long as it takes them to come around and check you, but they will come and check you. For the tanks, I imagine it means, constant nicotine dose and all that sort of stuff. But that'll be done with one specific coil. In Aspire Nautilus, you can get, 4 different ohm coils for it now. They'll all, when you submit it, you'll choose a coil, and the 2 labs that test it will both submit it with a brand new 1.6 ohm coil. That's how you build the hardware. I'm not massively au fait with the hardware side of things, but that's, from my knowledge, what they do. And I just think that the way they've done this is, I think they have had their eyes on them, and they're just, we've all thought a bit blasé about it. But because it's doing guidance, it's my understanding that they're going to have to provide some sort of sell-through period. It wouldn't surprise me, and I'm not quoting figures, numbers, or anything, if people, the big boys, Grey Age, UK Easy Store, places like that, but Evo, the big fucking distributors of the country, Flawless, they must have 100 grams worth of wholesale stock sat in the fucking warehouse. There is absolutely no way they can give them 12 hours notice to sell that.
Yeah, right.
None whatsoever, especially when, like Chris says, it's not in the guidance.
And I mean, like you were saying, I think people were slightly blasé about it, but at the same time, without the guidance being there for you to think that it's going to be involved, you wouldn't be too worried about it. But I know people like Tom O'Connell from Imperial Vape Co. directly contacted the MRHA asking about rebuildables, and essentially, he was reiterating, I remember him telling me at the time, but he reiterated it earlier. Their response was, we don't know what that is, mate. And I think that's the issue. With a lot of us who, I'm not saying any of us are experts, but at the same time, we've been involved in this for a long time, and we know products on the market, specifications of products, inside and out. With us having such a sort of breadth of knowledge between us of vaping, of devices, and we can't make arse nor ear of this legislation, for someone, for the people writing it who don't have knowledge, they're not going to know the terminology. They're not going to know what different devices do what. Then there's definitely going to be things that they're going to want to regulate that they haven't even seen yet. But
also, but we're assuming, Chris, that no one at the MHRA vapes as a lifestyle before the work there, during working there, after work. Yeah. There are doctors and surgeons who promote quitting smoking, who promote not smoking, bad for you, smoking cessation, win-win-win. They go outside and they have a fag. Do you know what I mean? There are doctors who do that. There are nurses who do that. There are people at the MHRA who will have smoked and will vape. And I have the MHRA being as big as it is, there will be people who are sub-owners there. There will be hobbyist vapors there. And that's a shitty thing for us, because those people who might be a trainee there, or there might be a fucking understudy there doing something there, it's completely out of the box thinking. But someone could be in there and you hear, some dickhead thinking, oh, we've got this. Oh, have you thought about this? Oh, what's that? Full explanation of what the fuck it is. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not needing promotion.
Yeah, I'm not naive to think that that's possibly it. There will be vapors at the MHRA, not on the testing purposes, who do it like we do it, who go to vape shops and they go in, buy the juice every week and just think, yeah, you're getting fucked over. I'm really sorry about that. But they're fucking themselves over. Do you know what I mean? They don't mean to do it. They don't realise the fucking strength of what they can do by going to work with a fucking Therion in their hand.
it is a whole massive shit show, isn't it? Realistically,
It's absolutely bloody crazy that we've not just got to the 11th hour, but we've gone way past midnight into the next day, and still it's a grey area. It's absolutely chicken oriental.
Are we agreed that the takeaway from it all is don't panic?
Don't panic.
It will become clear at some point, but until it does, don't panic. Make your own decision as to what you're going to do, and just do what you're going to do.
I think we're all under the general consensus, and I think that the person that Damon was spoken to, that holds a bit of clout in the position that he's in, has said, you know, no one's going to be arrested by it. No one's going to be raided and put in prison for 6 months. There's gonna have to be a period of grace. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna be influxed with so many fucking emails this weekend that they're gonna get into the office Monday and think we're gonna have to write that fucking section 5 and make it clear. You know, there's gonna be something that's gonna be done. I mean, I know personally, I wrote a strongly worded, if slightly sarcastic email.
Sarcastic? Never.
Oh,
There were far too many exclamation marks, Chris.
No, well, there was, yeah. But I mean, I just didn't know how else to, because you know, there's those sort of people where I felt like I'd be talking to. I wanted to explain it to someone who I went on the presumption or the precaution that they knew fuck all about what I was talking about. So I made sure I put plenty of explanations. I did reduce some of them, but I put plenty of explanations and comparisons of what I meant by what I was saying. I mean, I was quite proud of the email, and no one said, you can't, I hope you're not sending that. So I edited a bit, removed some of the long-winded explanations, and I sent it off. So, I mean, they have an 18-day reply wait, apparently. They said anything generic, you'll get a reply within 2 to 3 working days. And they said anything that requires basically anything that involves us to have to think and look into stuff could take up to 18 days for us to reply to you. But yeah, I mean,
I personally wouldn't say, and I'm not trying to be a dick with this. Everything I'm about to say is not for attention, it's legitimate. I wouldn't say don't panic. I'm not going to say go out in mass panic, but the only way we're going to find out if the police did is when some fucker ends up either on the news or all over Facebook that they've been written. And no one wants that to be them. And again, I'm not saying this for comedic value. Some of us can't take that risk at all in regards to prosecution and shit. And I mean that sincerely. And there's quite a few people I imagine who might be in that position. And that's one risk I'm not willing to take. But on the other hand, like I say, I'm going to be taking ideas to Expo. And I imagine everyone who was gonna is still gonna. And another way I look at it is, as strong, as powerful as the MHRA can be, just like the taxman, they're not the police, but fuck me, they are powerful people, right? They've got truck with what they do. But would you like to be one of those 10 officers that turns up to a room with people who have £50 million with collectively invested and 10 of you and tell them that you can't fucking do it? I wouldn't like to be one of them.
No.
Absolutely not.
Has anybody actually spoken to Vapor Expo yet? Anybody on the record or?
I did. Because if they turn around and say you can't take him, it means I can't take him.
All right. Well,
I don't even ask the question.
I'm going to give them a ring tomorrow.
Oh, they're going to fucking love that. They've got your caller ID saved now.
To be honest, I bet everyone in the industry is doing exactly the same as Dale. Like, no, don't say anything.
Don't poke a fucking bear. Do you know what I mean?
I'll wait till Monday.
Just leave it. Just leave it.
I'm sure they're aware of it, but they're probably sat there thinking, right, if we get a question, we're going to have to tell them not to bring them. But if we don't get a question, we don't say no, we'll all be on the same track. If you fucker, ring them, you're not having ideas, and I get a phone call saying,
To be fair, Dale, it's a completely different situation to the Pokemon e-juice thing or, you know, the IP infringement thing. This isn't something that's bringing the industry into disrepute at all. This is something that's going to bring the MHRA and the TRPR into disrepute.
But also, they're going to see the fucking caller ID and think, oh, is that grumpy cunt who asked us loads of questions?
Oh, they've banned me already. Fuck off.
Can't you ring Thursday night off for everyone set up and all the stocks in place? I mean, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, and this is actually a question for all of you. Although this is essentially a massive implementation of legislation for all of us and everyone working in the vaping industry, it's not been picked up that much by mainstream media. I haven't seen
It
anything.
has. It was the second headline down in the Guardian today.
See, I listened to the radio for a lot of today, and I've watched the news, and there's been a lot of information about new tobacco legislations coming in today. But all the primary focus has been is about the packaging on cigarettes and the fact that 10 decks are no longer available.
Well, what I read around the web was was actually quite positive. It was these are the new regulations, and it might end up sending people back to cigarettes. You know, it was positive stuff. It was all positive spin stuff that I read anyway, so it was good.
I kind of expected to see, on the news or hear on the radio, and they're all focused on the bland cigarette packaging. There was no mention of the.
Because have you seen what Marlboro are doing? I don't want to bring this into a cigarette conversation. That's what they're hammering down on.
The tin.
Marlboro giving out the fucking 10-pack tins.
Oh, you're joking.
Because they're not selling. It's not a tobacco product, is it? It's just a commemorative tin which happens to hold 10 cigs and have the fucking Marlboro all over it. And people being people, if Lambert and Butler did one when I smoked, I'd be thinking, right, well, I'm going to go buy 200 cigs to get that free tin. And I'm going to hold that free tin. I'm going to use that free tin. And it's going to be fully branded with fucking Lambert and Butler all over it. Exactly the same way Marlboro wanted it to. And people are up in arms. And it's like, you don't want a loophole. You fucking close it then.
It does also make me feel sorry for all of the vendors and all of the vapors that don't move in the circles that we're fortunate enough to move in. Because with the lack of press and the lack of knowledge of mainstream media, none of them guys are going to have anything to do with any of it.
There's a little bit of well interesting criticism coming, Dale. Saying you will take it to Expo and fuck them is stupid. How to get the authorities to start taking notice? You couldn't do better. What do you reckon to that?
I reckon I'm still going to take them to Expo, and I'm still going to sell them at Expo. I'm not. That's my choice as a business. That's my personal choice. I would happily bet my car on the fact that I won't be the only person doing that there. I'm pretty sure everyone who wants an idea is not going to get there and be upset unless stock levels kick in. Whether that's stupid or not, that's my personal choice. If the fucking TPD police turn up and I've got 40 ideas in my cabinet, they'll either tell me to remove them or they'll confiscate them. That's my risk. Whether that's, I mean, people might see that as bad on the industry. I apologise if they do, but I'm pretty sure that I would have some sort of grace with myself and my customers in the fact that I've fucking scrutinised the TPD and done everything by the book to refuse to be fucked with 11 hours notice. My order for Expo was in the air when that came to light. And it's all right saying, oh, this came out in November. Yeah, it did, via a private email to a CEO of another company. Yeah.
I'm not being funny, but
knowledge.
Realistically, and I mean, I'm not planning on telling anyone I want my information, but, I could have 20, 30, 40,000 pounds worth of Pandoras being produced right now. I mean, I'm not going into details of what I have been or have or haven't got being produced at the minute, but at the same time, I'm not going to waste that money. I'm not going to not do something with them. It's not. I think Dale's actually quite in the minority in the fact that he's removed them from his website. He's only one of 2 or 3 vendors that I've seen do that.
Yeah, as part of my mainstream business, and I'm not saying I'm not selling RDAs anymore. I'm not saying I'm going to continue to sell them. What I'm saying is, right now, until I've decided as a business moving forward, as a high street presence, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to wait, and I'll be honest, I'm going to do what most people probably do, which is why we'll fucking get nowhere. I'm going to sit back and see what other people are going to do, and I will follow probably the majority of it.
Yeah, I've just been sent this. There's that tin.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, isn't it? To be fair, you just said that you haven't heard many shops that have actually taken RDAs off. Yeah, they have. E-Cig Wizard have, Totally Wicked have.
But then again, though, they can only do
Vaporized have. I Fancy One, I think, have. Or the Dark Horse has been taken off because Dark Horse decided they weren't going to be able to sell RDAs under the TRPR either.
I've just had something back from someone involved with Vapor Expo. I haven't asked permission to use their name, so I'm not going to do it. But someone I would take their opinion of as towards the Vapor Expo's attitude towards this. They're not the TPD police, and they're certainly not going to help them do the fucking job. So, and you know what? Whether I'm clearly pissing someone off in chat, I apologise, but my opinion is that's great. The for us, obviously not them, and they have a job to do, and they have something to uphold, and they're basically saying they're putting on a show, and they are asking everyone to be compliant. And I don't believe for one second anyone going to that show will turn up with 60ml bottles. We're cracking it. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. But I think people will be respectful in regards to their businesses on showcase. They want to showcase it as a compliant brand. And
I think we're going to have.
I don't think David, the man behind the Madness Salisbury, was really having a dig at you personally. I just thought it was a bit important to get some balance into the conversation as well.
I just don't see the comment we made saying my choice affects everyone. I don't see how it does. My choice affects my business. In effect, if I decide to take a risk, it affects me. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure there'll be quite a few vendors. If I got shut down because of it, they'll be fucking happy to see the back of me. But for multiple reasons, mostly my attitude.
We love you, Dale. We love you.
You've got to think as well. At the last Vapor Expo, there was the guys from Savage E-Liquids from Malaysia. Now, they spoke quite broken English. Now, there's going to be international vendors that don't have a fucking clue about this, and they're going to come over with 60ml bottles. I can fucking guarantee it. There's going to be small businesses. I mean, Expo is not a completely unaffordable thing to do. You pay your pitch rent, and you essentially, what you put on your pitch is up to you. So if you want to spend 5-10 grand on a big stand, that's what you do. But if you want to have a backdrop and a table.
No, I do think there has to be some responsibility down to the Vapor Expo, because if the Vapor Expo did get raided by a shitload of people, no one's going to want to go to a show again that gets raided. You know what I mean? Regardless of for what reason. It's just same as a car boot selling copied DVDs. You're not going to go there to sell your copied DVD. I'm talking years ago. You don't want to go back there if you're going to get raided every week. It sounds ridiculous, but no more ridiculous than the fucking regulations that came into place today. It sounds that outlandish, but this is what we're dealing with. There is a written document that is barbaric bollocks that makes no sense whatsoever. It's written in the same shit we can't understand. We're receiving import from China. Right. Written in the same sort of fucking rubbish that is. But I do think that the MVE, for example, that it's a completely unspoken about show, and I don't know why, because we're vending it, it's going to be shit hot in Dublin in July. And you have to basically prove to the organisers that you're compliant for them to let you vend. And obviously, because they're an American expo coming to Europe, I think that's quite on it for an American expo to be doing that. They've learnt about it, they've found out about it. Gnome essentially created their own checklist. They might have missed some shit off. We've missed some fucking shit off, and we're English. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a good way of doing it. And there's a lot of American juice brands coming who have obviously ticked those boxes. So I think that's quite proactive. And I'm not saying Vapor Expo are missing that. They have a shop themselves, the Vapor Expo. They have multiple juice companies themselves. So they obviously know what they're doing. And they're working with the right people. But I think it's nice to see other countries, actually, especially American companies, actually listening to what the TPD is and making sure everyone going there is doing the right thing.
I mean, I genuinely can't see anyone, whether it be a shop, online retailer, or whatever, being completely demolished by any trading standards over the next couple of months while it's all ironed out. I'd be very, very, very surprised if there's an army of trading standards guys waiting at the door for when vendors go to set up on Thursday. I cannot see it. I cannot see it happening.
I honestly, I assume Mark will agree with this and Stu will agree with this. Based on people who own or work in the retail industry, I'm cocksure, in fact, that the people who are going to police the MHRA know envy and covetousness. It fucking governs everyone at some point in their life. People in your town, they catch you with one bottle in, they will be on that phone because you're their competition. You could be best mates with them on the face of it in the same town. Yeah, well, if we don't have no, we send them there. If they don't have no, we send them here. If a shithouse opened in Pudsey Like some dickhead opened near me and he was selling non-compliant stuff. One, I've worked too hard for someone to do that shit on my doorstep to be compliant. And two, they're in my fucking town where competing with me. If you want to do that fairly and with under the remit of the TPD and work as hard as I have in this area, fine, do it. Crack on. But if you're going to come into my town and do it, I'm going to fucking ring him straight away. I'm going to be like, look, this chopper's doing me over here and he's selling crap. And that's how it's going to be policed, by jealousy and competition.
And monopoly, like we were talking about before. The bigger guy's going to do the smaller guy, the bigger guy's going to do the smaller guy, who's going to do the smaller guy, and the chain will go on until we're all fucked.
That's prison, Damon, not Monopoly, different board game, mate.
I think that leads quite nicely into Don Murphy's comments. So how do you guys feel regarding some shops in Manchester and Liverpool area that have been trying to sell their normal stock and have lied and said the TP deadlines have been extended?
I think they're very silly.
I've been to the areas in Manchester he's talking about. I believe I know what he's talking about, and it won't fucking surprise me. I think he's absolutely. I can imagine they would still be selling it. Me and Mark have been.
Yeah.
You know
Basically,
I mean? Imagine we know where they're talking about, and it's like fucking Beirut.
In those areas, you can buy fucking guns, so you're going to be able to buy 100 millilitres of e-liquid, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not being funny, but I don't know if any of you have spent any time in places like Camden. Now, you know, Camden I frequented as a teenager. It was the hangout place, the place to go. You could go down into one of the underground shops on Camden High Street. They've got a lot of shops, and then there's a lot of steps that go down, lead to underground shops. You can go down to a lot of them, and there's one of two things in there. One, mushrooms, fucking pills, anything you want to get your hands on. Or two, a big bloke who won't let you leave until you buy something. Now, both of those are highly illegal, but, you know...
What was the big bloke selling?
All sorts of shit, mate. they're just, you know, like those people in Turkey, like, look, sunglasses, and just hound you. Imagine being hounded by someone who's 6'4" and standing in front of the door. Do you know what I mean? You feel obligated to buy something before you...
I get the feeling that you bought an 18-inch Black Mamba.
No, I ended up buying a belt buckle with a load of cards on it.
Why do you think he lives in arse end of Scotland now?
That one mistake he made in Camden all those years ago.
I've made a few mistakes in Camden, son.
It's been almost, just over an hour. I know this was going to be a very, very short show, and we've sort of hit that hour mark. And I really, really, really don't want to detach away from the show on Tuesday nights. Now, obviously, hopefully we'll have a little bit more information on Tuesday nights, and we can feedback further with the intentions and where we stand and what we're going to do. I think this would be a comfortable place to stop.
I mean, are you guys staying around for hangouts for a little while afterwards? It'd be interesting to have some viewers come in and sort of give their opinion, so we can have a little chat about it afterwards if anyone's free. I
can hang out.
I'm free now. I've blocked out Saturday night.
Oh, look at him, he's all depressed. He was on a promise.
He
shaved his head.
Fucking bed.
I think what we can take from this, from the chat this evening, is let's wait and fucking see. We don't know. We don't understand it. We've read through the documentation. We've read through the legislation, and as we've all said, we fucking missed it. We haven't got a clue. We can't interpret. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what comes back from whoever.
As I said before, you know, Pandora is my baby, and I'm in no rush to just shut the company down on the word of an email that wasn't addressed to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm not trying to drag it so long, but one other thing people have got to realise is it doesn't just stop there. All the juices that are under review could get knocked on the head at some point. You know, I know that the stuff that I've self-certified, when it's checked, will pass. There could be companies who get bounced for something they've missed or overlooked. And if we're stuck with 1,000 bottles out, or 500 bottles out, or even 20 bottles out on our shelf, that then becomes non-compliant in less notice than we've had about the RDAs. So I'll be honest, as a quick, all I'm going to sell on my website, and you'll see this by the end of next week, is only the stuff that I manufacture. And I mean that even I'm selling no hardware on my website.
Really?
Yeah, I'm only selling my own To be honest, the web has got so diluted for me sales wise, and I imagine Mark will mirror that. In the past, from a year ago today, we probably do 10% trade now of what we did a year ago. And I mean, you talk 10% of what we used to do online. And I just think, and I looked on my sales today, and it was this afternoon when I tweeted, we only really sell our own stuff now. If anyone wants something now, they'll just go. If you think about it, if 100 web shops opened in the past year, which is more than underestimating, right? If I lost one customer per website, it doesn't sound like much, but them 100 customers used to spend every month. Do you know what I mean? Them 100 customers. So there's that much bullshit about this TPD and what could happen in 6 months. What else? This is an RDA issue. What's going to happen in 6 months? What they're going to scrutinise in? Are Nick Shot's going to be fucked? Probably not, if I'm honest. That's one thing I don't think they're able to touch without. If they start regulating 0 milligram, I'll start selling lube. Right? You know, it's as simple as that. Hazelnut latte lube. Do not vape this. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. But
I mean, you got to think as well. There's 350,000 plus products that need to be reviewed one by one. So you're talking, say the 300,000th product in a line is X juice. You're talking that could be on sale for the next year and a half, 2 years before it gets reached.
I'm laughing, mate. It's alphabetical. I'm TYV. I'm fucking giggling for about 2 years.
So you're talking, say it takes 2 years to review this entire list. This product could have been on the market for 2 years, being sold. No one's getting fucked for it. So everyone's thinking, yeah, this product's a dead cert. It's been out for 2 years after the TPD. We've been stocking it and selling it. Trading standards are coming and no one's fucked us. I'll buy 100 grand's worth. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's not compliant. And you're stuck with 100 grand's worth of stock.
Well, then that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's what I'm just sort of elaborating on what you were saying. You're not going to go nuts with other people's products, which is fair enough. But at the same time, it is a complete shit show / it's essentially a lottery. You know,
Okay.
no one fucking knows what's going to happen.
Guys, I'm going to end this debate here, and we're going to continue this on Tuesday night. I just want to end on something that Sean Gibson has just said. It won't go to shit. America's surviving. America was dealt a shit card, and they're still surviving. So we can hold on to hope. We can see what happens. Let's revisit this on Tuesday. Are we going to get a Hangout link up in the chat?
Yep, I'll post one in the chat now.
We will look forward to seeing you all on Tuesday night. Thank you very much for Dale for joining us, Damon, Chris, and
Can I just plug the Sunday sessions? Tomorrow, 2 p.m, we'll be discussing this as well, and we're all part of the same network, and we're all trying to do the same thing, so yeah.
People watch this, though, don't they?
Actually, I'm not being funny, but this is happening from special request.
Yeah, this, not tomorrow.
No, you dick. Tomorrow was requested by the viewers. The 3 viewers we had requested us to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, they didn't get the full team.
You told us, Chris, if we offered you a permanent place, you'd quit that.
It hasn't even started yet.
All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you all on Tuesday night. Keep smiling.
Compliant hand wiggle.
And be safe, guys. See you on Tuesday.
This hand wiggle is TPD compliant.
Hand wiggle.
compliant.
Is it TPD compliant though?